Hello, welcome to another edition of the Stafford Report. Today with me, I have Felicia Allard. Felicia is our new assistant director. So we want to get to know you, Felicia, for our audience.
Okay.
Learn some stuff about you. So how long have you been at Stafford?
I am new to Stafford. I've been here for all of 5 months about. July 1st was my first day. So I came here from the Hartford Area Career and Technology Center, where I taught for a long time.
So how long have you been involved in career tech ed?
Career and tech ed, let's see, I started 12 years ago, so this would be my 13th year in technical education. Obviously 12 of those as an instructor, and again, this will be my first year in administration.
So what program did you instruct?
I was the design, illustration, and media arts teacher at Hartford. So that was similar. It's kind of a blend of the two programs here, the video communications program and the digital arts program. Mine was more of the two combined. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
So I'm curious, what made you make this big leap to administration?
Well, it's something that it didn't come lightly. I had been thinking about it for quite a long time. Started my master's program, I want to say 2010 maybe, 11, with the idea that this was what I wanted to do. But I was really specific. I knew exactly that I wanted to be an assistant director. I wasn't really interested in being a school administrator, like in a high school. So kind of got my education and then just waiting for the right opportunity to present itself, which it did.
Well, Stafford is definitely the right opportunity for our students, and we're hoping it's going to work out great for you. So far, you've been going along pretty well. You seem to have settled in. I was here for your first couple days because of summer camps, and you seem to be...
Well, I'm learning a lot. That's the big thing. You know, there's a leap from being a teacher to an administrator, and a learning curve, I guess, is a better word for it. And you know, the perspectives that I've had apply, but they're just different. The biggest one is just not knowing my students well before I have an interaction with them. Whereas with when you're in the classroom, you get to know your kids really well, and then maybe you have to discipline them. So it's really nice to see, though, that the biggest relief has been that even in those situations where I've had to have disciplinary moments with kids, I still feel like we've built relationships from those moments, so that was kind of heartwarming.
So it's interesting, usually I'm interviewing new instructors, and the instructors come to us straight out of industry.
Right.
And so I always ask them, like, what's the biggest surprise coming out of industry, and now you're dealing with teenagers? So you've gone from the classroom into the administrative office. So what's the most surprising thing about being in that new position?
Oh, well, I think the first and foremost thing was it was really odd to have an office after being in a classroom that's, really big and lots of people in it and fervor and activity. So having my own little office was really awkward. But I think, let me think about that question.
Most surprising thing, like you didn't realize so much of your day would involve.
Yeah, I think on a lot of levels, the inability to sort of plan and schedule my day is sort of the biggest surprise. Although people tried to warn me as I was preparing for this, you're not in control of your time, it's going to be kind of what it is. So that was definitely an adjustment. I'm surprised at the amount of time I spend on things like attendance, which to me I would have thought, oh, that's like, piece of cake, you make a few phone calls, you're done. So that's kind of a big one.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like when I ask new teachers, like what's most surprising, the paperwork or, something about kids' attitudes or something. So it's interesting to hear kind of the other side of things, that you're used to the classroom environment and you're used to the adolescents that you're dealing with, but for you to move away from that
Right.
into this new role. It's almost like a reverse.
It is
Instead of
kind of-
coming out of industry into the classroom, you're leaving the classroom and kind of
Right.
going into the industry of education.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of different.
Yeah, it is. You know, I think the reason I wanted to go into administration, and people, it's really funny to kind of hear what people will say when you're training to become an administrator. A lot of people say, well, why would you want to do that? And the biggest thing for me was just, I really like whole picture thinking. I really like systems. I really like, you know, kind of piecing the parts together to make it work well. And I think I had a lot to offer that just in a classroom, you can't really have that kind of impact on those bigger picture items.
So you left a Career Tech Ed Center and you came over here to Stafford. How are you enjoying Stafford?
I like it a lot.
Similar size school?
It's about the same. I'd say maybe there's one or two more programs, and you know, it's really fun to learn like a new school and kind of see how things are done. The biggest adjustment I think for me is just I have so much to learn. Like as much as you train for this role, I keep saying to folks, I'm learning every day. Every day I learn something new. So that doesn't end.
I'm sure.
Yep.
And so we have a few extra programs. We have some programs that are similar, probably some that are the same program, the
Right.
same state, zip code, whatever
Yep.
the language is at your level.
Yeah.
Do you think that Career Tech Ed is keeping up with the times?
Yeah, you know, I think career in tech ed has changed a lot over the course of the last, I would say 10 years in the time that I entered it from then until now, in the sense that it's no longer being perceived as a secondary choice for kids who can't quite make it in a traditional high school. And so I think that's kind of been an awesome transformation to witness and see that college-bound kids are coming to our programs, and kids that just, you know, really know exactly what they want to do. They're driven. So just the whole flavor of tech ed has kind of changed a lot. And I think the community is starting to learn a lot about that. You know, I think it's taking time to
We're
sort of...
certainly getting a lot of good press lately.
Yeah.
The whole idea of apprenticeships and alternate pathways, different ways to get where you're going. The road doesn't always have to be straight.
Right, right.
So many options and opportunities available in career tech ed, whether it's Stafford or some other center in Vermont or some other state. So, but you're a person, you're not just an administrator. So what are you doing when you're not at Stafford? I know you have two little boys at home. Well, not so little, mid-sized boys,
Yes,
I guess.
yes, yeah, they probably don't want to be called little, but I do have an 11-year-old and an 8-year-old at home, two boys. And we spend a lot of time doing camping when we have free time in the summer. You know, and we have a Christmas tree farm. So that keeps us pretty busy and a little bit tied to the house because regardless of what a lot of people think about Christmas trees, they, I think, sometimes have the perception that they just sort of, you plant them and they're done, like pretty quickly. It's a 10 to 15-year process that requires like
attention,
fertilizing, grass care, you know, shearing, sometimes pest control. You know, it depends on what's going on with them. But so. And I speak like I'm doing a lot of this myself, but my husband does a lot of it. I like to consider myself the marketer. So we're heavily involved as a whole family during the Christmas season when it's time to sell. So.
Well, that must be fun. You must have families that come back year after year.
We do, and we make it a habit of taking every family's photo, so long as they're willing, which back in the day when my mom started the tree farm, it was a Polaroid.
Oh, wow.
And so when we finally reopened again, my husband and I said, okay, well, this is not really feasible these days because one, it's really, really hard to find that film and it's very expensive. And it's not that, you know, long lasting, and I wanted it to be digital, and luckily we're in the Facebook world, so the families that come, we take their picture, we post on Facebook where they can then grab it, and it works kind of as a double You know, we get the PR, people are driven to our website, and then the folks can have a really cool family picture. So
Oh, that's really
yeah,
cool.
it's kind of a neat
I mean,
tradition.
I go to the same tree farm every year, and we take a picture, but they've never offered to take it for us. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really thoughtful.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. Kind of neat. So
Well, we are really glad that you came and joined our Stafford family, and we hope we're doing everything we can to make you feel welcome. Of course, with Felicia stepping into Melissa Connor's role, Melissa Connor stepped into Glenn Olson's role, and we're going to get Melissa in for an interview soon. She's very busy learning all of her new pieces of her job. So she wasn't able to join us today, but we're going to get an interview with her really soon, and I thank you very much for spending time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Dunnigan, your host for the Stafford Report here on PEG TV, and with me today is Genevieve Wilcox, one of our new instructors at Stafford. Genevieve is instructing in the Health Careers Academy at Stafford. How are you today, Genevieve?
I am doing very well. How about yourself?
I'm great. Can you give us a little bit of background of how you ended up here at Stafford?
Okay. I was the school nurse for Rutland City Schools for a little over 9 years, and then the position opened up here at Stafford for the Health Careers. And it seemed like a great transition for me, so I accepted the position here.
So this is your second year. You started shortly after the beginning of the year last year. And do you think you made the right move?
Oh, I definitely made the right move. The Stafford is an absolutely wonderful place to be. The students here are great. The staff here are wonderful. It's great being here, being a teacher here with all these students.
So the Health Careers Academy opens up a lot of career pathways for students who are in this program. But while they're here in the program, what kinds of things are they learning?
They're learning everything from CPR to first aid to everything from basic care for the LNA skills, the nursing assistant skills, from greeting a patient to bed baths to vital signs, care and compassion, empathy with patients, everything that you would need.
That's excellent. And they also study like anatomy.
Yes, anatomy, physiology, some medical terminology. We do a little bit of medical math. By the end of their first year, they're going to leave here they'll be able to test for their LNA license through the state of Vermont through the American Red Cross. They'll have their CPR card for the professional rescuer and their first aid card, and they'll also have some other opportunities to do other things through Stafford too.
So it's a really exciting program, and I know that there's a lot of hands-on skills that they need to use, and we have this great lab that we're in now with our faux patients that they practice on, but they also get an opportunity to practice on real people, and at some point they get to go out and do clinicals. Can you explain to our audience what a clinical is?
Okay, well we do a clinical rotation in the usually January, February time. We'll go out to clinical. So they're going to have live patients where we're going to be going to a local nursing home where they're going to do everything from vital signs to bed baths to bed changes and showers and a little bit of everything that an LNA would be doing. All the skills that they've learned here at school, they're going to be doing it with patients out there. And that's part of qualifying to be able to test for the LNA licensing, is that they're able to do the skill here and also out there. They're required to do a certain amount of hours. And the students, it's very rewarding for them to actually get out there with the patients, and instead of just doing the mannequins, which is definitely different, having the hands-on work there. And I know most of the students afterwards end up getting jobs at the facility, and they really enjoy it.
Well, that's exciting. There's a lot of opportunities for LNAs all over the country. So that's a great certificate for them to leave school with. And they finish that after their first year. So what does their second year in the program look like?
The second year, they are going to be doing co-op. So we're going to be placed in different facilities around town. We have some students who are at Rutland Regional in the emergency department, speech language. We have a student in regional ambulance. We have some local nursing homes and some schools, the school nurses. So they're going to do basically a job shadow. And so they can experience different things throughout the year, so they can kind of get their niche of what they may or may not want to do after they leave here. And they're also, many of the students are doing college classes through CCV in Castleton. So on top of their regular curriculum here, they have their co-op and then they have their college classes.
So they're really getting real life experience, and they're getting a jump start on their college if they want to do that.
They have the opportunity to earn those college credits that doesn't cost them anything. Through the Career Tech Ed, they're able to use vouchers for those, which is fantastic. And I know you're still a new teacher here, so you don't have the background that some of our teachers who've been around for a while. Do you know where some of the students have ended up after this program?
I know a student from last year's program is in medical school right now in Pennsylvania, I believe. There's the year before, there was quite a few students who I think went to nursing school. They went to Castleton, VTC. Some of them went for actually vet tech. And I want to say maybe pharmacology one of them went to. Yeah.
So a wide variety of jobs in the medical field. And I have always appreciated that our work-based learning coordinator will take a student and kind of talk to them and figure out where their interest lies. Are they interested in pharmacy or vet or neonatal, whatever it may be, and she tries to find them a work placement that matches with what they're interested in, which is one of the things that's so great about Stafford, is having great people in so many different community facilities and businesses who welcome our students in to learn skills that they're going to need on the job. So, and you, when you're not at work, what do you like to do for fun?
Oh boy, when I'm not at work, I like to spend time with my family, my children, do things with them, try to be as active as I can with them.
Because they're getting older.
They're getting older and I don't have as much time with them as maybe, they grow up fast. So I have a son who's in college and one who's still in high school, and I want to enjoy as much time with them as I possibly can.
Well, I really want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day, especially in the middle of the school day, to spend a few minutes chatting with me. I'm really glad that you decided to just go for it today and let me interview you. I appreciate that. So thank you for being with us.
Well, thank you very much.
The LNA license is something that the first years train for throughout the entirety of their first year. And at the end of the year, they will test for their license. And if they pass, they will receive their license. And then the LNA license allows them to get a job, an entry-level job in their career. So as a second year, I've been able to work in the ER. The LNA license is important because it allows students to gain an entry-level job in the healthcare field. The pay is relatively high, and there's always a need for LNAs in the country.
Lots of it is physical. We use medical terminology, which will help us, learn stuff that has to do with the medical language, so it's easier to understand. And that'll benefit me personally because I want to be a nurse practitioner in pediatrics.
After the end of the year, I should have my LNA, and I want to major in psychology. We learn a lot of skills. Most of the skills are used so that when we get our LNA after our first year, we can go out into the field and work at a nursing home.
So through the Health Careers Academy program, I was able to receive my LNA license, and through that I was able to get a job. First, I worked at Genesis Healthcare, and I did LNA tasks, everything from changing beds, cleaning residents, feeding, and then I also, currently I have a job at St. Joseph Kervick. It's another long-term care facility for residents, and I feed, I help get residents ready for bed, I shower them, bathe them, the whole 9 yards.
Learn more. Go to staffordonline.org, where your success starts here.
All right, today we are talking with Mr. Tooley. Mr. Tooley is starting his second year of teaching at Stafford. He is the electrical plumbing instructor. Welcome.
Thank you.
How long did you work in your field, and what exactly field did you come out of?
I was in the plumbing and heating industry, and I started in 1992 when I got out of the Army.
When you got out of the Army. So did you come to Vermont when you got out of the Army?
I did. I moved to Vermont after I came out of the Army.
Excellent. So in the world of industry, you were working as a plumbing and heating systems, a service technician, or?
I started out as an apprentice, and I went through the apprenticeship program here at Stafford. And from there, I got my journeyman's license, my master's license, and then I actually went to work in the heating industry and became a service manager at a local oil company.
That's excellent. And so when you work in career tech ed, we have to hire teachers who come out of industry. So you don't necessarily have a background in education, so we send you to school and kind of work with you getting through a couple years of schooling to become a certified teacher. So how are you finding that process? Is that helpful in your career?
It's actually very helpful. It gives me a framework to actually teach in the classroom as opposed to out in the field. And it just gives me the tools that I need to be successful in teaching and understanding teenage kids.
So speaking of teenage kids, coming out of industry, you probably didn't deal with a whole lot of teenage kids, and now you have a classroom full of them. And this is your second year, so you've kind of got your feet under you. And what's the most surprising thing about working with young people?
They don't stay on task very long. And they have to keep moving. You have to keep their minds engaged and keep them moving. They can't sit for very long before you got to get up and do something different.
And luckily you're teaching them in a field which involves many different steps and many different processes, and you have the ability to take them over to our house site and take them out into the community where they're learning hands-on a lot. There is a lot of book work involved in your field and the electrical field as well. So it's just interesting to me. All of our new teachers come to us out of industry, so they always have some insight into what it's like to suddenly be surrounded by adolescents in the classroom as opposed to adults, customers, homeowner.
Yeah, and I had 2 teenage daughters, so now I have 17 teenage boys that are like my son. So I'm having to deal with the whole not used to having the whole gender thing. So it's different.
And you're really supportive of your boys. You don't have all boys in your classroom, but you do have a little pack of football players, right?
I do.
And you.
I try to get to 3 or 4 games a year.
And I know, I went to one of the football games, and I know the boys really do appreciate when they see their instructor out there at the end of the game on the field.
Yeah, I have a wall of pictures of us and them.
So that's like going the extra mile, and it kind of comes to you naturally. Even as a new teacher, you understand the importance of supporting the students outside of the classroom as well as inside.
It all begins with the relationships.
So speaking of being outside of the classroom, your second year students, they go out and they work with someone locally, either in the plumbing or electrical field usually. How do you support them and get them ready to be out in the work world?
Wherever they go to work, they're going to learn the skills of where they're working from their employer, right? I need to teach them basic skills, but I think the most important skills I can provide is just that curiosity, that passion for whatever they're doing, whether it be plumbing, electrical, anything. Be a truck driver, work in a supply house, any of that. But you have to enjoy what you do, right?
Yeah, and we hear that a lot from employers. They're not really worried about the skills specific to the job. They're worried about the professional skills.
Showing up on time and not playing on your phone, and
which is a struggle for a lot of us, not
it's
just
a struggle in my classroom.
It's not just a struggle for students too. I think that adults have problems with putting their phone away as well, as my phone's here on the bench. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but so how are you enjoying teaching?
It's stressful. Keeping 17 students entertained all day. But I'm teaching them basic skills, and I really press to them, you have to practice these skills, and you have to practice working with these tools, because they become an extension of your hands after a while, and you get comfortable with them, and you just need to practice. So that takes up a lot of their time, is just practicing stuff that I've given them, and then we'll learn a new skill, and then you're going to steamroll on that, practice that, and just build on everything. And it'll all come together when we work at the house, or they go out on a co-op, and at some point it'll click, And
Yeah.
they just, oh, that's why Mr. Tooley made me do that.
And their prospects are good.
Very
For
good.
jobs around here. I know we've seen data that says a large majority of the plumbers and electricians in this area are within 5 years of retirement age. So they are looking for these young people to come in and learn the skills. And it's not always the plumbing and electrical skills. It could be a building specific, this is the quirky faucet or the quirky drain or, this, I don't know, because I'm not an electrician or a plumber. I could try to make stuff up, but we really do have openings for all of these young.
Lots of
women.
openings. I could take my whole class and send them out on co-op. I get calls every week for looking for students to come out and work every other day.
And I think probably if you're a homeowner and you've tried to get a plumber or an electrician, you probably know how hard it can be to get someone to come out and work on your stuff, and that has to do with this shortage of trained professionals. So what's surprising to you about teaching? We talked about what's surprising about the young people in your classroom, but people who don't teach don't always understand all of the stuff that goes into it. What's the most surprising thing for you?
I think the amount of meetings that you have to attend that no one told me about when I took this job, and the amount of time it actually takes to plan a full day to engage the kids and students.
You can't just walk in with no plan.
Exactly, you have to have a plan. So I usually spend an hour or two every night doing something relating to maybe not the next day or the day after that, but down the road. What am I going to do?
Where am I going with
Exactly.
this? But you're enjoying it.
So far, it was the dramatic pause.
That was a dramatic pause. I was like, don't say anything else. Say you're enjoying it. But you do.
I do.
I walked into your classroom and I can see when you're showing the kids and getting them to problem solve. The very first day of school, you had a great problem solving activity set up for those students, which was?
We built a water filter out of miscellaneous stuff, and
So you just put them right to work.
Yeah.
First day, they had
First
a little
day.
problem solving activity.
yep, we worked in teams, and the winners won a tape measure.
Well, got to start somewhere.
So.
So, Mr. Tooley, when you're not in school and you're not spending an hour or two at night planning for school, what do you do for you? What do you do for Chris Tooley?
What do I do?
Yeah,
I like to putter.
you like to putter.
I like to work on the house.
Yeah.
Work on anything mechanical, lawnmowers. I just like to work with my hands. I have to keep moving.
So you're just like the kids.
I'm just like
You
the kids.
can't sit too
Exactly.
long.
I can't sit too long.
You need your brain to be busy.
Exactly.
So you understand them.
So I understand them completely.
And last year, your first year teaching, you did have a student who won at skills at the state level, one for plumbing.
Plumbing.
And that student, so Skills is a career tech student organization that many of our students end up joining, and they compete at the state level with other career tech ed schools in Vermont. And so Mr. Tooley, as a first year teacher, actually had a student who won gold medal in plumbing, which was very exciting for him. And he also had a team win at Teamworks. And Teamworks are 4 students. You have why don't you tell us, what are the 4 roles?
We have a plumber, a mason, a carpenter, and an electrician.
And they work together to build.
We build a structure that involves those 4 skills, and we team up with St. Johnsbury. They provide the electrician and the carpenter. We provide the plumber and the mason.
So, and the team also won a gold medal at
In
the state
states,
level,
yes.
and went to the national competition in Louisville, Kentucky.
Correct.
You weren't able to go, you had school to go to. I actually went to Louisville with those young men, and they worked really hard for 3 days. They scored well. They didn't medal at nationals, but nationals do include a team from just about every state. I think there was 39 teams at nationals that they competed against, and they held their own. They did a great job, and we're really proud of them. And it says a lot to you, about you as an instructor, that your first year out, you had someone well-trained enough to win in plumbing and to win at Teamworks. So we congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
And looking forward to many more years at Stafford.
We'll see.
He's kidding. Thank you for joining me today, and we will be meeting some more people around the building and investigating more of our programs in the future.
We are learning the basics of electrical and plumbing. So it's really fun. Mr. Tooley is doing a great job with everybody, and I look forward to being here every day. Just coming in after my A block or B block and walking in, seeing Mr. Tooley, being able to come in and always being able to learn something new.
My name's Avery Billings. I graduated Stafford in 2016. I'm working towards becoming a master plumber. I learned the skills and what really goes into my job, what I do for my living. My favorite part about Stafford was the hands-on training, really getting into everything that I'm going to be doing for quite some time now.
The part of this program that helps me the most in being successful in my co-op is being able to come back to program and really talk about issues I had at work or figuring stuff out that at work I otherwise wouldn't have time to really talk it out, and I really get to get that understanding about the issue or problem or whatever it is.
To learn more, go to staffordonline.org, where your success starts here.